And hello and welcome to episode 88 of On the Bench, the podcast for scale modelers, by scale modelers, all about scale models. And a huge round of applause and thanks to our many supporters of the show. Your contributions through Patreon help us with our production costs and are greatly appreciated. If you'd like to be a supporter, you can do so by going to www.patreon.com/onthebench and pledge any amount from $1 upwards. Fine Scale Modeler is proud to support On the Bench. Fine Scale Modeler is the world's most recognised and essential magazine and is available in all good newsagents and newsstands or wherever you purchase your magazines. Alternatively, go to their website www.finescale.com and subscribe to either the print edition or the digital edition, or why not both? Go now. Go to www.finescale.com. And hello and welcome to the show. And with us, but not in the studio, I've got Ian.
G'day Dave, g'day listeners.
And of course, we've got Julian.
Hello.
How have we been going, guys?
Yeah, good mate, good. Surviving the self-isolation.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, what the heck was that? Didn't know what that was. Sorry. I had a funny noise that popped up then. Yeah, so you've been building or doing what? What have you been doing?
Me, not a great deal. Got bored from the current projects and started a new one. I'm building the U-boat laboratorium, World War I French submarine, the Marriott, which looks more like a half-submerged speedboat than a submarine.
It's you showed me earlier on during the week, and it looks very, very odd.
It is a very odd. There's no sail or coning tower, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it just looks like a half-submerged ship.
What about you, Julian?
Yeah, so I received my special hobby RE 2005 Italian fighter earlier this week, and at the time I'd started the Hasegawa or Eduard boxing of the Hasegawa Maki 202 Full Gore.
Yeah.
And they're both Italian planes, right? And so I thought, maybe I should check to see if they're both got the same color on the cockpit. And they did. So we'll just build these two side by side.
And how's that working out for you?
Yeah, I mean, I've got it all. I've got all the cockpit stuff painted up in green, and I'm just sort of doing all the little detail painting in the cockpit at the moment. Going through the new special hobby kit, it's I don't know. I guess I would call it a bit of a chimera.
Yeah.
Because I find that if you look at all the cockpit parts and the wheel wells and the landing gear, all of these parts you can tell they're designed on CAD.
Yeah.
Because everything's nicely cylindrical or straight. Nothing looks sculpted. But then you look at the fuselage, the wings, and you can tell everything's been scribed by hand.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, you can even see mistakes in some areas where whoever the guy is that did it has made mistakes. Like the panel line depth will not be consistent sometimes. It'll vary in depth.
Wow.
I mean, I get it. This is how Special Hobby have always done it, and hopefully this is a sign that they're transitioning over to CAD, because hopefully they'll make better kits,
Yeah.
nicer kits. But I mean, it's easy enough to design, straight edges. If you look at the wheel wells, they're just a box. They're just a large flat box, and anyone can design that on CAD.
Yeah.
Same with the landing gear. They're all poles. That's pretty cylinders, right? That's pretty easy to design. But when it comes to the organic shapes of wings and fuselage, that requires a level of CAD design skill that is above what an amateur can do.
Yes.
And like some of the, like, for example, anyone who's done any sort of 3D modeling for the purposes of 3D printing will know that the common software that most people use, it's pretty easy to do stuff like a cockpit or a wheel well in that. But once it comes to like curved shapes, or even like say uh, you know bulges on tires, and all those sort of subtle curves and things where you essentially have to have a mesh and you have to shape it.
Mm-hmm.
Those things are another level of skill, and some programs just aren't capable of it. You need to switch to like a higher kind of thing that you need to pay for. And I'm guessing their work experience kid who designed the inside, it was beyond him, to do the entire plane.
Yep.
So it's interesting that they're kind of moving forward, but maybe we can't expect really advanced kits from them just yet.
Yep. They're still learning.
Yeah, apparently. So I don't know if you remember, but when I was building the clear prop Sonia,
Yep.
which I remember saying was very much a kit that's designed in CAD, and it had problems, right?
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly, was it clear, because clear prop did it in 72nd, and who did it in 48th? It was a relatively new Wingsy kits.
Right.
Yeah, and Wingsy kits, apparently, they've had plenty of time, quote unquote, to work on their upcoming kits because of the lockdowns
Mm-hmm.
from that have been going on, and because apparently it's not the staff who work there, it's not their like primary job. They have to go to their day jobs or something like that, and now they can spend more time on their side job, which is designing model kits, right?
Yes.
So hopefully they'll get it, do a better job of it. But it seems that's sort of like something of an occurrence. Like a lot of model companies perhaps can't afford to pay for a 3D modeler to design their kits full time,
Mm-hmm.
because like the expertise is in demand in other fields.
Correct. Yep. That's very
Food for
interesting.
thought.
It is, yes, very interesting.
Well, I have put aside the Zeppelin for a while because I was getting so bored with it, and and I'm now building a Flower Class Corvette in 1/350 scale. I've gone back to my first love, and that's shipbuilding, and I've powered through it. I'm up to the superstructure, and I'll be putting some paint down later on today.
So that's I'm trying to think what
Mirage.
the Mirage kit, yes.
Yeah, the Mirage kit, and it's a lovely little kit, and it goes together quite well. There's no etch at all in it, so I'm going to have to dive into my stash of excess etch, photo etch, and sort of dig out some railings and stuff like that. So it's just a really enjoyable kit, and just sort of sitting plugging along doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I cracked it with a Zeppelin yesterday morning, and I started the ship probably about 11 o'clock yesterday morning, and bang, here I go, and I'm nearly sort of at the stage where I can paint it. So it's just flying together.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, which is always a good thing, isn't it?
Yep, totally agree, Dave. Totally agree.
So apart from that, not a great deal. But this, I think what we need to do is sort of move on to some breaking news as such. So we're recording this on Saturday, the 11th of April. And in the last 24 hours, there's been a lot of stuff flying around about some shocking news of Wingnut Wings closing down. Now, I've been trying to get to the bottom of it, and I went first of all to where I found this source, which was Wingnut Wings fans Facebook page, and from there that then took me on to the Wingnut Wings forum, the WW World War I Aircraft Models forum, in which they actually wrote to Richard Alexander, who's the general manager of Wingnut Wings, and asked him to for an official comment on what's happening with the business. And Richard actually wrote back, and he says, and I quote, "Nothing is finalised yet, but it looks pretty grim. Very sad. I hope you understand that I have nothing else that I can say at this time. It is understood that final decisions on the future of the company will be made in the next week or so." So,
Well, I'm actually on looking at the Wingnut Wings official website.
yeah.
And I'll read out what's there. It says, due to New Zealand government regulations combating the spread of COVID-19, Wingnut Wings is temporarily closed and/or working from home for the foreseeable future. In the interim, we will continue to accept your orders if you wish to place them, but we will not be able to begin shipping them until late April 2020 at the earliest, probably even later than that. We really do appreciate your support at this time, but if you do decide you wish to cancel your order and receive a refund, that is okay. Please understand that these are not normal times for any of us and that this process may take several weeks before they can be processed. Thank you and keep safe.
Yeah,
That is officially from their Wingnut Wings website.
But that's been up for the last couple of weeks, that particular thing. And
All right.
this, what I'm talking about, is only just broken in the last 24 hours. So what I've got my fingers crossed that somebody's got their wires crossed somewhere. But those words from Richard Alexander himself, and I'll just read them again, and I quote, "Nothing is finalised yet, but looks pretty grim. Very sad. I hope you understand I have nothing else I can say at this time." So that sounds a lot more than just the COVID issue.
Right.
And
interesting.
If Wingnut Wings fall, I mean, oh God. Well, first of all, my heart goes out to those employees of the company. I mean, this is what a hell of a time to lose your job, as we all know. And because they're a great bunch of guys out there, and we've had Richard on here before on the show, and they're all very passionate and everything. But I'm almost speechless, lost for words.
Well, you have to think that I've heard sort of chatter about this, and they've been saying that this is all to do with the COVID issue, but I don't think so, because like it was said, they're working from home. That's not a problem. If anything, there are more sales for model kits now than there's ever been for a while.
Yep.
That's not the issue. Whatever the problem is over there, it's deeper than this recent string of events.
Yep. Yeah, I agree.
It's a more underlying sort of thing.
Yep.
What I would speculate.
Well, the other thing is too, I mean, what happens to stuff like, there's the Lancaster that's sort of now, what's going to happen there?
They'll probably sold to Hobby Boss or someone like that.
No, that's the interesting thing. If Wingnut Wings were to close, obviously there would be a selling off of all the molds, and those molds would would command a pretty high price.
Oh yeah, definitely.
The question is, who would be willing to pay for them, and who could pay for them?
And would they keep up the quality control?
Yeah, that'd be my big concern, the quality control.
Well, there's also capability of maintaining that quality, right? Because it's those kits are engineered to such specific tolerances that if you get it wrong, you're probably just going to come out with a kit that's not kit parts that are not useful for selling.
Correct.
So you're going to have to give it to someone who's got some expertise in it. You can't. I don't think you could hand it off to some third-rate manufacturer.
Yeah, but looking deeper into it, I don't think it's just. I don't know whether it's a financial thing because, please bear with me. I'm just sort of speculating here, but I mean, you've got the man behind the thing, which is Peter Jackson. It's his baby. So he's got that other company that builds World War One aircraft from scratch and also restores them. You've got the Weta workshops. I think that's linked somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and the Wingnut Wings kits have not been backward in being, you know, up in high-end sales. So it's not a financial reason. There's something else that's sort of behind this, something deeper that's bringing this all about. And I think only time will sort of be able to sort of tease out what that is. But, yeah, you know, speculating who could buy the moulds, if indeed the moulds were even allowed to be sold. That's the other thing. Because if it's not a financial issue that's causing this, then obviously the ownership of the moulds stay with the owner, and that owner may be unwilling just to sell them on.
Correct. Which would be a shame for everyone.
Well, that's true, but then again, I'll tell you what, my little Wingnut Wings kits in my stash have just gone up in value.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, but you know, at this, while they'll go up in value, you wouldn't sell them, would you?
No.
So what's the
Not
point?
now.
I mean, that doesn't, you know, I mean, unless you know you came on hard financial times and you needed to sell your Wingnut Wings kits, that doesn't really mean anything. It means something for the people who are willing to sell it.
I prefer to sell a kidney first.
Yeah, but that's the point. I mean, like, there are the only people who will be profiteering are the people who bought Wingnut Wings kits who can be to profiteer.
Yeah.
And they'll price them so high that most people won't even bother.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And then some other manufacturer will come in and go, yeah, I can make one of those for a fraction of the price.
Yep.
And people will say, well, it's not the same level of quality. And then they'll say, well, it doesn't have to be. Because it's either you buy our kit or you buy the $700
Albatross.
Wingnut kit that's on eBay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he'll say, thank you very much. I'll buy one of your kits because I don't have $700.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. But yeah, look, all we can do is just cross our fingers and pray to the modelling gods that they sort this out and get back into production.
Yeah. All right. Well, hopefully this will just be a hiatus rather than a death knell. And I think we'll just have to wait and see what sort of comes out over the next couple of weeks.
Yep.
Just got our fingers crossed that it'll be good news and not bad news.
Correct. Yep.
All right. Well,
agree.
Let's move on then to what else is new in the modelling world. And first up from Hobby Boss, we have a very surprising announcement. They've got 2 new kits that they're announcing they're putting out. And the first one is a 1/18th scale ME262 fighter.
Now, that's going to be huge. At 1/18 scale, it's going to be massive.
It is, and they've got some pictures on, if you go to the modelingnews.com, they've actually got some pictures there of it, of the some test shots of the mould that they've got there. And, you know, for a 1/16th scale, I'm not seeing a lot of detail in those pictures there.
Yeah.
Sorry, beg your pardon, 1/18th scale.
I think it looks a bit toy-like to me. Looking at it.
Yeah, and there's some fairly close-up shots, and I'm not seeing. I can just vaguely see some panel lines and stuff like that, but
yeah, well, they're not very high resolution, these photos.
Yeah, true.
And these are the only ones that we have, and to be honest, it looks like the surface detail is probably about on average with like
48.
I don't know, on 48 scale. In which case, why would you need to go up the scale?
Yeah. And where are you going to put the darn thing?
Yeah, well, that's the other thing too, isn't
it? At 1/18 scale, that's going to be massive. It's going to be huge.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's going to be absolute monster.
32nd scale ME262 is pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
And the Trumpeter one has more surface detail.
Yeah.
It's a pretty bad kit from what I've heard, but at least it's got the detail.
Yeah.
Well, the kit's not going to be that large. the kit's not going to be that large. So the model length is going to be 590 millimeters and the wingspan of 680. Well, I guess that's fairly big. That's just, But the kit consists of over 230 parts, rubber tyres included. And because it's such a large kit, you're actually having to use some screws during the assembly process as well. And
Yeah, because glue won't hold that together.
No. So, yeah. We'll wait.
Well,
We'll
I
wait.
imagine part of the reason for the screws is also so that they can, take it apart for transport.
I think
what,
I think once the screws are in there, they're in there.
and what is the deal with 9 out of 10 Messerschmitt 262 kits that come out bigger than 72 scale always have to have rubber tyres?
I don't know.
Seems to be 262s are the most popular kit to get rubber tyres in.
Hey, can you imagine how much nose weight you'd have to put in so it wouldn't be a tail sitter?
Well, it comes with nose weights.
Oh, does it?
It comes with these 2 barrels.
Oh, okay. So I thought of that. I didn't see that. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
Well, it's going to be interesting to see.
Interesting. Yeah.
Next, from the same company, they've announced in 1/32nd scale, an A26B Intruder bomber.
Mm.
And that's
Comes
another
in 2 markings. Yeah. Either American or French.
That's another huge kit though in 1/32nd scale. My goodness.
Mm. Yeah.
Again, they've provided some shots from their some test shots, and I have to say that the detail's looking a lot better on the 1/32nd scale one than the previous ME262 that they were showing.
Yeah, sure does.
So total model length is going to be 485 millimeters, wingspan 667 millimeters. Total of 13 sprues, 270 plus parts, and some very, very, very minor photo etch parts are going to be included.
Yeah.
And of course,
Yeah, the photo etch is not so much. Looks like a radio and some bars.
yeah, and just for Ian, some lovely grooved rubber tyres.
Bye-bye with the rubber tyres.
It's because of the tread pattern. You can't get the tread pattern unless you're willing to go to like some
Resin.
ridiculous length to do it in plastic, or you do it in resin.
Yep.
Yeah, resin would be the way to go.
Yeah, totally agree.
Oh well, Eduard and all the other companies can pick up the ball. Same. It'll be the same with the cockpit. I reckon the cockpit's probably sparse on detail.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, let's pop over and have a look at what our friends from Revell are doing. And Revell have announced in 1/72nd scale an F-35A Lightning. Price is going to be about €25.
No pictures of the sprues yet, Dave?
No, and I'm wondering whether it's actually a new model or not. And I suspect that it might be somebody else's kit that they're perhaps reboxing. We'll just have to wait and see. There's quite a few. There's a couple of different companies now that do the F-35 and 1/72nd scale. So
Yep.
you get some good choices around now. Next up is a model Citron 2 in 1/24th scale.
The
2CV.
Yeah, 2CV, the Cocorico.
Yeah,
What
lovely.
an ugly machine.
It might be ugly machine, but it's got a real cult following. So this is perhaps quite clever of them sort of producing this. For a 1/24th scale car, the price is going to be about €35, which is not bad for that. And
It'd be small. They're not a big car, though.
no, that's true too. Yeah.
And they're so ugly.
Comes with a detailed engine, detailed interior. Not that there's much in the interior to be detailed, but the engine bay has quite a bit of detail you can pack in there, so it looks pretty good actually.
Yeah. Well, I suppose you got a little 4-cylinder motor in it. There's plenty of room.
You sure it's a 4-cylinder? I think it might be a 3 or a 2.
Yeah, it might
I
be.
think it might be a 3.
Yeah.
Like that.
3. Something. Yeah, it's French. It's going to be something weird.
Oh, what's that saying? The French don't copy anybody, and nobody copies the French.
Yeah, no one's that silly. So up next
is
coming out 72 scale EF 111A Raven.
one of my favourite birds is the F-111.
Yeah, yep.
Now this is the electronic version, which was used from
During Desert Storm.
and 1983 onwards. The F-111 is an underrated aircraft in a lot of respects. During Desert Storm, it racked up more tank kills and bomb kills than any other aircraft in the US infantry. But because there were other more high-profile aircraft that were being used, the Air Force sort of chose to sort of push them to the fore as in the media rather than the F-111. So, yeah, and of course, we've got a bit of a soft spot for the F-111 because we had it with the Royal Australian Air Force for nearly 30 years plus. It gave Sterling.
Yeah, well, the only nation outside of the US that was had it.
Yeah, that's right. So this is the EF version, and the E version has this sort of nodule on top of the tail, and that's where they pack all the
electronics.
Yeah. So this looks to be quite a reasonable sort of kit. Unfortunately, Revell, again, with their stupid pictures that they put up, show it very toy-like, and whoever's whacking these models together for photographs needs to be sent to a gulag.
That's a bit much.
Well, because they just don't do, it just doesn't do the as I've said this before, if you're going to display the kit, don't bother painting it, just build it and leave it bare. At least then the modeler can have a look at, what he wants to look, or he or she wants to look at, rather than trying to paint it and then putting pictures of it. This looks terrible.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the actual the outside of the plane looks actually okay. It's just the zoom in on the cockpit that doesn't look so good.
And the
you have
paint
to remember
job.
that is a 72nd scale cockpit with no upgrades.
Yeah, but the paint job looks pretty ratty as well. To tell you the truth, I reckon it's shocking. All this post shading, which looks this post shading looks terrible. Anyway, okay.
Well,
that's
moving
a matter
along.
of taste.
I'll leave this one for Ian to talk about.
Yep, in 1/25th scale, they're releasing the 2013 Ford Mustang Boss 302. So, late model Mustang, typical car kit in 1/25th scale, rubber tyres. It's got the Boss 302 side stripes and the bonnet decals. Yeah, it looks all right. Looks a bit toyish, unfortunately. But
I think it's the choice of wheels that make it look particularly toy-like.
yeah, the wheels just look
There's
plastic.
a lot of chrome going on, and
Yeah.
like way too many spokes, and whatever.
And I'm not a huge fan of the modern Mustangs anyway. They're a bit over the top. So that's my thought on it. It's yeah.
Oh, well,
So
I'm pretty sure there'd be quite a few people still wanting to buy it though. What is it, €30?
oh, yeah,
So
something like yeah.
again, it's not a bad price.
If you like your late model muscle cars, it's the way to go.
Absolutely. Next up, we have a T55A/AM with the KMT-6 EMT-5, whatever the heck that all means. I think that means it's the dozer blades at the front. So basically, it's a T55 in 1/72nd scale with a couple of dozer blades set just in front of the tracks.
It's actually mine clearance
Yeah.
vehicle.
Well, it looks like a bolt-on. I think the Russians...
Yeah.
They didn't. Their mine clearing tanks were not only mine clearing tanks, but they could also do their main role as a tank.
But you notice the dozer blades only sit where the tracks are sitting.
Yes. Yep.
So basically, it's just designed there to lift and dislodge any mines before they actually hit the tracks.
Yeah, very clever design.
Yeah.
Yeah, hey, it's a T55, and if that really floats your boat in 1/72nd scale, go for it. Next up,
And then
for
is
our...
a toy. It's a toy.
It's a toy.
It's even got Disney on the side of the box. It's a Star Wars X-Wing fighter in 1/57 scale. And looking at the pictures, it's a toy. That's all I can say. It's not a model. It's a toy, Revell.
I think it's one of those snap ones, perhaps.
It doesn't even look like that.
Yeah.
It just looks like a toy.
Actually, I don't think it may not be, because you know how like Revel have their sort of skill level system where they've got 1 out of 5.
Yeah.
1.5, and it's marked for 3, which I think is a glue together type kit.
All right. But you have a look at it.
I mean,
It just looks horrible.
Yeah, there's the
yeah,
seam lines and the fit is at where the engine nacelles, where the two wings come together, where the wings, the X wings come together as one. There's
just big gaps.
Yeah, it looks terrible. It looks shocking.
And they're
and R2D2 looks like one of those Easter eggs, sort of just plonked in the back there with that tinfoil Easter eggs.
Easter egg.
Yeah, he does. He looks like an Easter egg, and their TIE fighter, which is underneath that, just doesn't look all that much better either. So I think that these were definitely designed for the children.
Yeah, actually, I reckon the TIE fighter is probably better than the X-wing. Also, that is 1/57 scale as well. Both of these are priced at €20. So, yeah. I've got a love-hate relationship with Revell, and so let's leave that alone and move forward on to Trumpeter, who have announced 2 new items for April 2020. The first one is the HEMTT, the HEMTT, the M1120 container handling unit. It's a heavy expanded mobility tactical truck wrecker, heavy duty crane and winch combination used by the US Army.
Yeah, it's used a container truck. Military container truck. Comes with a container.
It's got like a great big clampy type deal that will hook onto the end of a shipping container and lift it onto the back.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So just another variant.
Yeah, it's a variant.
Yeah.
Comes with rubber wheels, a total of 670 parts plus. Got a metal tube and photo etch is also included. Total of 21 sprues. And Ian's lovely rubber tyres.
I hate rubber tyres.
But I have to laugh because in the blurb here it says, the main tyres are hollow rubber with a very good tread pattern.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're probably quite nice tyres until you go to resin. I mean,
yeah, resin ones we'll just beat them hands down.
Yeah.
And they got another variant of that. Coming out is the tactical firefighting truck.
It's a completely different truck. It's the M1142.
It is. It looks the same.
It's the M1142.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay.
So it's a completely different beast.
Looks the same.
It's an integration of the Oshkosh HEMTT chassis mated with the commercial firefighting package. So it does use the same sort of chassis, I guess, as the one that we just looked at. But obviously they're sort of upscaling it and putting the firefighting package on it. And this looks really good, I've got to say. I really got to say I'm quite impressed by this.
It does look pretty cool.
It was... The M1142 was first delivered for testing in 2005 and first put in operational use in 2007. So think of your big sort of ARF trucks, airport firefighting trucks, and this is like the military version of it. It's beefed up, and I can actually see myself getting one of these.
Oh, there you go.
The model length is going
Dave's new project.
Model length is 320 millimeters. Width is about 103. 770 parts plus. Photo, etch, metal parts, and rubber tyres are included. Well, there you go.
Yeah, well, I like how it's got like the masks for the windows.
Yeah, that's really cool. And you know what? Manufacturers should
not that they'd be all that difficult to mask up anyway. They're big rectangles.
Yeah, I know, but manufacturers should be getting much more clever and providing this sort of stuff from the get-go. And it's really good to see that they're doing it. I wish some of the aircraft manufacturers would also sort of start doing it. Although, then I guess you'd be putting your aftermarket people out of business, wouldn't you?
Yep.
Yeah, but that's not their responsibility. Their responsibility is to, try and sell you as much stuff as they can, right?
Yeah.
If they can find something that'll give them an edge over the next guy who's not providing a canopy mask, they should take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Fully agree, Julian.
Well, Dura Wings, their kits come with canopy masks.
Yeah, and Edward do as well. Sometimes.
Tamiya sometimes. Tamiya throw in canopy masks. You have to cut out.
You have to cut them yourself. So yeah, the Dora wings have the vinyl type, which I don't like very much. I much
Yeah, I'm not a
prefer
fan of the
wood.
vinyl type. They tend to leave residue behind if you leave them a little bit too long.
All right. I just don't like them because they're not as pliable. So when it comes to like compound curves, they don't really conform to that very well.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we're just sort of talking in the setting of World War II fighters, right? You'll get the flat-sided with the actual part of the canopy that moves back and opens. You'll be able to do that just fine. But when it comes to like the actual front portion, sometimes it's not so good for that. You'll get
Yeah.
like a curved one over the top at the front, and yeah, they don't really like to do that sort of thing.
Mm.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well,
I think things are slowly moving forward on that front. Yeah,
Yeah.
becoming the
Fully agree.
norm.
They are. Yeah.
well, that's all I've got for what's new in the modelling world. You guys got anything else? Anything I've missed?
No, you pretty much covered it all.
Oh, the only other announcement I've got in what's new in the modelling world is that our secret correspondent has been coming under intense pressure, and the various agencies are starting to circle in and hone in on him. So to protect his identity, we have now decided to give him a code name of the Falcon.
The Falcon.
So hopefully,
From now on, he'll be known as the Falcon.
yes. So hopefully this will sort of protect him and keep him one step ahead of the authorities.
Yeah.
So we'll just have to, we should have some more news from him next episode.
Oh, fantastic.
All right. So how about we have a short break and we'll be right back with some listener mail, and the mailbag is groaning with some with all the stuff I got in this week. So
Cool.
got some
Sounds
really
good.
good stuff to read out. So we'll be back very shortly. Okay, and we're back. Before we start with listener mail, something that has occurred to me, though, in light of the announcement of the Wingnut Wings news item we had, is what about all those companies that do secondary products for Wingnut Wings?
Like
models?
Taurus. Yeah.
Yeah, and the prop company that does those props.
Yep. Proper props. You've got that other company that does the metal exhausts.
Yep,
HGW does a lot for them.
yep.
So, no, it's going to be tough for a lot of companies.
It is. All right, well, let's dive straight into listener mail then. First one I've got is from a listener in California. He hasn't left me his name. And he writes, "Hi, I've returned to modelling after perhaps 30 years. And I've been building almost exclusively 172nd jet aircraft with some rocket models here and there, like the round 2 reissue of the ancient AMT Vostok and Titan 3C vehicle. That Titan,
I remember those.
that Titan proved to be the first model I simply jetsoned into the landfill, and the culprit was the decals. The model's quality was light years behind something like the modern Horizon model's Atlas SM65Ds, and the decals were even worse. The upper end of the Titan 3-stage had a complex grid pattern to represent many stringers and exhaust holes, and the decal reproduced this well enough. However, coaxing this piece to wrap around the fuselage over mismatched and raised panel lines proved to be insurmountable. On a brighter side, my current practice is now to clean every decal. This practice now is to scan every decal sheet I have before I begin assembly. This way, I can often reprint a botched decal, which we spoke about that on the decal show that we did.
Yes.
And
yes.
I think it's a really great idea.
That's a great idea, that.
I highly recommend everybody scan their decals without fail and try printing your own for practice on a mule. Both microscale liquid decal film and Tester's decal spray work well to seal in the ink. You let the print itself dry overnight and then apply the sealer for another overnight spell of drying, and then you're ready to go. And that's from a listener in California.
Fantastic.
Next up is Stuart Malone. And Stuart writes in, he is the IPMS of Great Plains. And he says, Dear Benchers, g'day, my name is Stuart Malone and I'm a member of the IPMS Great Plains in Kansas City, Missouri, USA. Please forgive the tardiness of this reply. It's 9 to 10 weeks late. My excuse is I found your podcast a couple of months ago and have been listening to it from its beginning. I'm also listening to the 3 other podcasts, all in chronological order, so I can follow along with a Moosaroo Cup and other banter.
Fantastic.
Stuart continues to write, for approximately 10 years now, our local show, KCCON or KCCon, has been split with our local AMPS club, Camps. Camps judges all the armour by the AMPS rules, and the Great Plains judges all the rest by IPMS rules. There are basically 2 separate contests within one show. The figure category has been split into 1900 to present for AMPS, and our historic figure category is 1899 or earlier. To speed things up on contest day, the Camps Club gathers ahead of time and judges the models of members who will be at the show. This lessens the amount of judging on the day of the show, so much so that the AMPS judges usually finish before the IPMS judging. This year, I have entered my very first tank. The feedback I received was constructive and helpful. I may build more tanks sporadically in the future just for this reason, as a check-up on my skills. We attempted judging the entire show under AMPS rules once. And he says once underlined. It took forever towards the end. We were rushed to get the award ceremony done before we had to vacate the premises. Because of this, the comments on some of the models may not have been up to the normal AMP standard. The next year, the club decided to go back to our regular first, second and third. We probably would have been successful with AMPS judging in the following years if we stuck with it and got used to it, but the consensus of the club was to go back to our standard practice. We usually kick off the contest season in our area at the tail end of winter, as we hold it on the second Saturday of March. We were very lucky this year as our contest got in just before the coronavirus shut everything down. Enjoy your podcast. Keep it up. Stuart Malone. Well, there you go. Well, that's pretty interesting.
Hey, it's very, very, very interesting to hear.
Next up, we have from James Coulter. Excuse me, James, for the pronunciation. And he comes from Winchia, California. And James writes, Hello, Dave. Like always, I'm enjoying On the Bench. In a recent show, you all were discussing the room problem and how to deal with space for your finished kits. Like a lot of modelers, I also have the same problem. I was thinking of contacting local museums to donate finished kits. For example, in Chino, California, there is a great air museum called Planes of Fame. They have hundreds of nice airplane models in glass cases along the walls inside the hangars with the real planes. I have not done it yet, but plan on contacting to see if they want some of my finished planes that I have. Considering that likely I'll be dead someday, this would be a nice way to have a few
We're
kits.
all headed that way, mate.
This would be a nice way of having a few kits that live on. Just a thought for you all. As always, love the show. Keep up the good work and many thanks from James.
When I go, I'm going like a pharaoh.
You have they'll
all go with me.
You're not going to have a Viking burial?
No. Because then they'll get burnt. This way, hopefully in a couple of thousand years, some archaeologists might dig me up and go, oh, look, free kits.
Well, I'll tell you what. How about I do this? We can have your Viking burial with your unbuilt kits, so that when you step through the halls of Valhalla, you'll have some stuff to build when you're on the other side.
Yeah. But you do realise...
Are you planning to die in combat?
Oh, who knows?
Well, that can be arranged, of course. You know that.
Yes, true.
Why does that make me think of like the dueling scene from the original Star Trek series between Spock and well, yeah, with the music. Dun, 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 dun.
Well, actually, James has got quite a good idea there of approaching local museums, but of course the issue is that generally museums have to have space to display the kits in the first place. And if they haven't got any dedicated shelf space, they've then got to find the funds to actually have those shelves built. So that's the consideration when you're actually putting forward your collection to be displayed. You have to have that in the back of your mind. So just a thought there. But still, a great idea, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Now, Ralph Hebron sent us a message. Thanks, Dave. Just catching up with some of the past podcasts, particularly like the one on kit manufacturers. By the way, Woodford Reserve is a bourbon and an abomination of whiskey. Oh, them fighting words. You are okay having this with ice. However, proper single malt Scotch whiskey, no way. I was in Edinburgh in the biggest whiskey shop ever, trying a few with a friend. There you can have a splash of room temperature water with the malt. He actually asked the proprietor...
but it's called a dram.
Yes, it is. He asked the proprietor for ice, who looked over the rim of his glasses and said in a broad Edinburgh accent, "Ice? Ice? Did you not see what it did to the Titanic?" And shook his head and walked off, muttering stupid sentences under his breath. So there you go. Thanks for that, Ralph. It's quite amusing. Speaking of whiskey, those banjo pickers from Kentucky have dropped their latest episode. And at the beginning of their episode, they attempted to play a didgeridoo. It was Dave, and I think he was trying to moonlight as a comedian. Dave, don't give up your job as a lawyer. I think you're much better at that than you are as a didgeridoo player and a comedian.
Yes, it's a very difficult instrument to learn.
Oh, it is. Okay. Con Smith writes in, "G'day from Ireland, you guys. Just sitting here in lockdown in Belfast and randomly came across your Dark Art of Decaling podcast, and I've already picked up a few interesting tips. I only recently, well, at least 2 years ago, got back into modelling after taking a nearly 20-year break, and I'm loving it. Taking it a bit more seriously these days. Fine detail work wasn't one of my strong points when I was 12, but that's what it's all about, I guess. I really enjoy the show and will definitely be listening again. You have a great relaxed style with some very useful tricks and info. I'm looking forward to hearing more from you all and also getting caught up with the previous episodes. So all the best from the other side of the planet, and stay safe in these dodgy times, even if we do have the perfect pastime for it. Cheers, can't wait to hear more." That's from Con Smith. Thanks, mate.
Thank you, Tom. Yeah, that's great.
Con, not Tom.
Yeah, Con.
Yes.
Con.
Next one comes from Sean Vale Rhodes, who hails from Richmond, Virginia. Greeting benchers from Richmond, Virginia. I'm a long-time modeller, age 55, who started this hobby in his early teens, took quite some time off because of, well, life, etc., etc., before returning to the hobby around 6 years ago. My earliest memories of modelling centre around the old Monogram and Revell 1/48 scale Cold War fighters. To this day, Monogram's 1/48 scale F100 Super Sabre is one of my favourite builds. I just recently discovered your podcast on Spotify and have been listening to you along with the British, Canadian and US podcasts almost non-stop, probably to the consternation of my family. I'm a delivery driver by trade, and being classified as an essential employee during the current crisis, you guys are constant companions in my work vehicle. Anyway, I just wanted to drop you guys a line and say thanks for helping keeping the modelling community spirits up during the current unpleasantness. You benchers, along with the guys in the shed, the Mojo guys in Kentucky, and the Scale Model podcast out of Canada, have become a de facto modelling club for me and a source of laughs and entertainment during a very bland time. Keep up the great shows, and we'll keep listening. Cheers. That's from Sean in Richmond, Virginia.
Hey, Sean.
Thanks very much, Sean. And also thanks to you for doing your work as a trucker. Without you guys, the whole of the world would just shut down. That's a fact. And
too true, mate. Too true.
Not just the truckers. I mean, the people who sort of stack the shelves and, all of those sort of normal jobs that we don't sort of think of as essential have actually become essential. It's not the Hollywood movie stars or the singer songwriters who are the most important people in the world. It's those guys.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right, we have now a email from Jay Lloyd Smith, who writes, "G'day mates, my name is Jay. I am a recent listener to your podcast. I am 42 and live in Pennsylvania, USA. I used to build models a lot when I was about 10 years old, thereabouts. I had to stop when I was about 24 because my eyesight went bad. Now I've found a couple of new ways to keep me busy in this field. Maceto? Is it Maisto? Maceto has a line of snap-together models called their assembly line brand. They all have die-cast body with plastic for everything else. On most of them, the steering is static. On a few, the steering is movable, and even though the steering wheel is stationary. Even though I am totally blind, I can usually tell what the piece is by feeling." So I just want to underline what he said there. Even though I'm totally blind, he can still build just through feeling what the part is.
That's pretty incredible. Like you always used to freak out when you hear about like one-arm modelers and how they can do this stuff, but to do it when you're blind, that's taken it to a whole new level.
Well, we actually do have a listener who's a one-arm modeler, and it takes him a lot longer than what it normally take us, but he still battles on. But for Jay to be doing this, and yes, everything's already sort of there for him. He doesn't have to glue; he just assembles it. But my hat's off to you, mate.
Yeah.
Bit of dinging there, mate. What's going on there?
I'm not sure what happened there.
No, neither am I.
No.
Now, this is what Jay writes. He goes, "My next challenge will be an Academy 1/400 scale Titanic. It's one of those multicoloured parts models where everything is already in colour. It just needs assembly. This is not a snap-together model, and I may have bitten off more than I can chew without being able to see. But since I'm off work due to the virus, I'll have plenty of time to figure it out. I've always been interested in ships such as Titanic and her sister ship, the Britannic, which was sunk in 1916, as well as other famous liners. He's asking us, do you know of any multicoloured parts model of the monster truck Bigfoot? My favourite version was around 1991 when Bigfoot had a 4x4x4 logo under the left front headlight area. And also, is there a model of the Bigfoot tracks? That was a Ford Aerostar body on tank treads. I enjoy your show and also like to hear what's new in the modelling line from Jay." Well, I'm not aware of any monster truck kits. Are you guys?
Me neither. No, not saying they're not out there. I'd probably say Revell would probably be the best bet to look at. It seems to be up their alley.
Yeah, Julian?
Yeah, it's not really an area that I've ever had to look at. So, it's very specific as a genre. I mean, it's a subgenre of car kits, right?
Yeah. Well,
okay.
Dunno.
All right, I'm having a look here.
Yep.
Online, and who makes that? There's a Gravedigger in 1/24 scale, but it looks like a toy. So it's trying to see if there's any model kits, but no, it doesn't look like. It looks like they're just toys.
Okay.
But as I said, look, probably the best bet would be probably see what Revell's got to offer, because they do all these sorts of weird vehicles. So you might have some luck with them.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all I've got from listener mail. As always, if you want to drop us a line, you can do so by going to onthebench64@gmail.com, or of course you can pop along to our Facebook page. Just type in On The Bench and you'll find us there. We love hearing from you, so please keep the emails coming, and we endeavour to reply to you within the first 12 hours or so. Sometimes life and work get in the way and I don't get back to you. And unless you don't want it read out, we will generally read out the emails that we get.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So, on to our subject for today. And this topic was recommended by the Falcon.
The Falcon.
Who suggested that we talk about what makes a great kit.
Yep.
And I thought, what an excellent idea for a discussion. What does make a great kit?
In our opinions.
In our opinions, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very
subjective.
Yeah, very subjective, and you know, I mean, like for the guy we just heard from in the listener mail. Obviously, he's got a very specific set of requirements, and even beyond, like, very exceptional cases like that. I mean, probably what I like to see in model. I mean, maybe I don't know. I mean, I think I've got fairly high standards for kits. I know of a modeler who has low standards for kits, and whenever I bring in, no, it's completely different. He actually scoffs at like whenever there's a group of like a discussion, and the talk turns to, oh, look at the beautiful panel lines and rivet detail. He rolled his eyes and he doesn't want to know about it. He doesn't care. Yep. He would prefer that his kits don't have that. Very and then even if you try to sell him on the fact, well, this one fits, the old $10 one that you've got doesn't fit together very well, and even then he's sort of like, I don't know, maybe he's just a bit of a modeling hipster, and he doesn't he just wants to be sort of against any sort of new changes or improvements that go on in modeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. There's some strange ones out there. We've got some strange people in our community.
Oh, yeah, and you get to see them at the model shows too.
Yeah. But, I mean, okay, so the outlines for what I would consider, what was it again? The topic of what makes a good kit?
What makes a good kit, yeah.
No,
what makes a great kit is actually what the...
great kit.
Yeah.
A great kit. Okay, so
subject matter.
Well, what makes a great kit would also be in the area above fit. We're assuming that at least fits decently well, right? Because I think almost every single modeler out there is going to appreciate a good fitting kit. Beyond that, there are lots of things you can do. There's detail. There's like what would you call it? Well, there's the difference between like the cockpit detail, I would say, and the exterior detail, because I think like a lot of kits you can be forgiven of having too involved cockpits, because not everyone wants to go to that level of buying extra stuff for it, but everyone sees the outside of the plane, so that's important. And same with a tank, you want to have nice tracks and stuff. I'd actually throw it to you guys. What constitutes a great model in ships?
Well, for me, what makes a great kit is one that from the time you open the box up until the time you put it on the shelf, the whole process has flowed like a Zen almost sort of build, where everything's all gone together. Yes, you've had to perhaps do a bit of work on it, but even the bit of work you've had to do to sort of bring it into shape, that's gone extremely well with no sort of major hiccups or whatever. The paint's all gone on beautifully, the decals have gone on beautifully, and then when you put it on your shelf, it looks really good as well. So for me, it's about, I mean, I'll give you an example. This Mirage kit that I'm building at the moment of the flower class, Mirage aren't known for their sort of sterling, perfect fits and everything like that. But this, it's either because I'm in the right headspace, I don't know what it is, but everything is just flowing so far really, really well.
Yeah, but is that necessarily the kit being great, or is that you being great at building that kit?
Well, I don't know. It's a very interesting question. If I was to build a kit that I knew I'd be able to get a good workflow out of, I'd pick a Tamiya late model ship or a Tamiya late model production tank or something like that, because I know the whole thing's just going to flow together and build really well without any sort of major issues. Whereas if I'm building like a trumpeter or something like that, I know I can expect some issues along the way. But generally, I'm sort of prepared for those issues. And so, yeah, it's a really subjective sort of question, isn't it? Ian, have you got a particular kit or a particular... okay, I'll rephrase the question, Ian. Mm-hmm. What, in your mind or in your experience, makes for a great kit?
Well, first of all, subject matter. It's got to be something I'm really, really keen to build. It's got to be well researched. It's got to be, in my personal opinion, it needs to be as accurate as possible. Buildability, of course, it needs to be able to, construction needs to go quite smoothly. Good decals. And as you said earlier, and something that as long as I'm really enjoying myself building it, that's my criteria.
Julian.
Well, I suppose like if I actually have to examine give a recommendation as to what I think a good kit is, I would point to a lot of my Eduard kits that have the cartograph decals, the canopy masks,
Yep.
photo etch, usually pretty good plastic. So like as far as like on all the sort of criteria that I want to see in a kit, it ticks a lot of the boxes, not all of the boxes, but a lot of them. Because obviously, like, individual kits are different. Like some of them have the newer decals that are supposedly not as good. I haven't personally tried it, but that's what I've heard. Some of their kits use, say, trumpeter plastic,
Yep.
where the quality isn't as good as, say, the ones that they've picked out that have either Eduard plastic or Hasegawa plastic.
Yep.
Tamiya, their plastic's impeccable, but obviously they don't. They're sort of lacking on other fronts, like the decals and perhaps variations on the models and planes and stuff. They've usually sort of gone. Here's two different types of P-47s, and here's two different types of Spitfires, and here's two different types of this and that.
All right. Well, what I'll do, Julian, is I will ask you a different question. Ask
me a different question.
What's the best kit you've ever built?
Ooh, that's a difficult question. What is the best kit I've built? Ooh.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, sure.
Go for it.
One kit that I really enjoyed building from start to finish was the 1/35th scale ICM Model T Ford.
Wow.
That kit was lovely. It went together beautifully. And I had a ball building it. Came out great.
Well, the one that I enjoyed building the most would have to be the Tamiya Cruiser, IJN Cruiser that I built last year, the year before. That kit just flowed together and everything just went like clockwork. And for me, that's what makes a great kit, when you've had a start to finish. The whole process has been, as I said at the beginning, almost zen-like and dreamlike.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering whether the greatest kit or the greatest kits that you can build are not necessarily the greatest kits you can buy, but it's a combination of where your mindset is your skill set level is at that particular time, as well as where your passion is, and all of those combined to produce what you could call the greatest kit you've ever built.
I can totally agree with you on that one, Dave.
I was waiting for Jill to chime in.
When I hear the question put forward, I immediately sort of see that as without the skill of the modeler or the mindset of the modeler involved in the equation. It's just purely like product evaluation.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So when I hear that, I just I mean, like, because I don't want to sort of say, okay, well, what makes a great kit? Okay, let's say the Hasegawa Pete that I built, right? Because I know that if I was building it in a good frame of mind, I'd have a good time building it. If I was building it in a bad frame of mind, I would not be enjoying it as much. So
yeah,
it's the same kit, two very different experiences, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I want to sort of, in my mind, I want to eliminate that part of the equation and just focus, this kit. This is from my perspective, is a good kit to build, before you inject human error into it.
Yeah, valid point.
But then, if you're looking at it from that point of view, then it also depends on which part of the time stream you're standing in. So if we pose the same question back in 1978 and then repose the question in 1988 and then 2008 and then 2018, you're going to come up with different answers because the actual kits themselves and manufacturers themselves will sort of evolve the manufacturing process and taken more time to produce kits with tighter tolerances, etc., etc.
Yes.
Yeah, true. But I mean, we are living in, well, unfortunately, we are living in 2020, and in 2020, what makes a great kit? From what I've heard, almost every person I've ever heard of who's built the new Tamiya P38 said it was an absolute joy to build.
Didn't you build the P38?
I know. I built a very, very terrible Academy P38. What was it, a year or 6 months or something before the Tamiya kit came out?
Yep.
I ruined it for myself. I could have had a lovely Tamiya experience, but now I'm P38 out.
Yeah.
I don't want to see another P38.
Bit too much for you there, mate.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know. I think I'll probably be looking forward to my next Eduard model experience. Probably.
Yep.
At the moment, I'm on this run of short kit manufacturers, and hopefully that will whet my appetite for a nice, easy, smooth build.
Mm. Yeah, I agree there. The Eduard kits that I've built, I've quite enjoyed building. I haven't built one yet that's been a disaster. Not to say I won't get one, but so far they've been quite good.
I've had one bad one, but it was one of the very early kits, one of the early Focke-Wulfs, and I think they admit that this was a bad kit because they replaced it with a new tool kit.
Yeah.
Which is something I've never seen any other manufacturer do. I haven't seen Revell replace one of their old kits with a newer one. No other manufacturer has done that.
No.
It's almost like admitting that you stuffed up.
Yes, true. Too true, mate. Too true.
Well, I'm sort of landing on both sides of the camp, I guess. I can see that I still stick with my original answer that it's a confluence of a whole heap of different things that produces the greatest kit or the best kit ever. And that's purely from a personal sort of point of view. But then again, I've got a foot in the other camp as what the greatest kit ever has been, or from going to a model store and just buying it off the shelf and and calling that a great kit. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I couldn't answer the second question. I just don't know because, there's a lot of genres that I don't build, and there might be some amazing kits in genres that I don't build, which would be classified as the greatest kit.
Yep. Yeah, I think we might get our listeners to maybe write it on our Facebook page and tell us what they think their best kit is.
I think that's an excellent idea, as a matter of fact. I think we might do that. So, by all means, everybody, please write in with the greatest kit ever, and you can drop us an email at onthebench64@gmail.com, and we would love to hear what you consider to be the greatest kit ever. Mm-hmm. Or do you sort of think, where I'm coming from, that it's a confluence of where you are at personally at that given day when you actually open that box up and build the kit, whether that's what constitutes a perfect kit?
I predict the answers will be very wildly different.
Oh, yeah, definitely that will be.
I'd be very surprised if we got two answers that were the same kit.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
And if we do, we'll better get that kit because it's going to be perfect.
If we don't have it already.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys, I think that's a good spot to sort of pull it up, and we'll wait until next week. We'll continue sort of plodding along until whenever this horror year ends. And
the madness finishes.
Well, I mean, this Wingnut Wings thing now really feels like 2020 is the worst year ever.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
But hopefully we'll have some more information to clear it up for the next episode anyway. So.
Yeah.
All right, Ian, sign off from you.
And Fredowich is your friend.
Julian.
Buy more tools.
And from me, I will see you all next week. Adios. Well, we hope you enjoyed the show. And as usual, if you want some more podcasting goodness, you can listen to our good friends up in Canada at the Scale Model podcasts with Stuart and Anthony. And, of course, you got those whiskey-sipping banjo pickers down in Kentucky, Michael and Dave at the Model Mojo podcast. Everybody stay safe, and I will see you next week. Bye.